Welcome back. I'm going to start off with an apology if you hear humming and buzzing. My air conditioner went down, my central air. I have two portable air conditioners keeping us cool. I have the kitchen like quartered off so that I can cook, and then we bring it upstairs at nighttime. I have another one upstairs, keeps the entire upstairs cool until I can get it fixed. But for now, we're cool. The whole house isn't, but we're okay. So, having said that, I need to save money to fix my air conditioner. I'm on a fixed income. I'm not monetized, so I got to come up with some money. And the easiest way for me to save money is to cut the food budget, because some bills are what they are. I have no control over that, but I can control what I spend my money on. So we're going to do 5 or 6 days on a very small budget. I'll let you know what that is when we get over there, because I haven't decided if I'm going to use one ingredient or not. I'm leaning towards not, so that's why I'm not exactly sure. I know within $2 of what I spent. So without further ado, let's get it. Let's go. Let's see if those pots come up. All right, here we go. Here's my haul. I decided not to use the other ingredient, and that was a pound of ground turkey. I decided not to use it. So ShopRite, cheaper to buy their pasta now than it is to buy Walmart's pasta. That was 99 cents. I've heard that the Walmart is up to $1.24 now. That was a big jump. 25 cents. The potatoes, phenomenal sale. I'll put up the ads. $1.49. Limit 4. I bought a few bags, but one for this week. The diced tomatoes was cheaper to go with the big can than 2 small cans. I got that at ShopRite. And the 2 heads of cabbage, that was also on sale at ShopRite. I wanted a great big one. I had to get 2 small ones. The onions, they were on sale for 99 cents. I'll put that up. Moving on to Walmart. I got a 10-pound bag of leg quarters. They're on rollback. I think it's $7.85. Don't quote me on it, but something like that. I got a 2-pound bag of carrots. Those I got on clearance for $1.55. I think it's $1.55. If I'm wrong, I'll put it up. The yellow sticker's right on it. I got some mixed vegetables, some rice, 92 cents there. That's not their brand. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is start prepping things so this week goes smoothly. We're going to start by finding out how many pieces of chicken I have in this bag. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. 11, 12. Lucky number 13. Look at all that chicken. 13 legs and 13 thighs. All right, so I'm going to poach the chicken just so my house doesn't get heated up from the oven. I'm going to remove the skin off of the legs and then put it in a pot. All right, story of my life. I need a bigger pot. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I took off most of the fat but left some on, and I pulled the skin off and put it to the side. I'm going to need some broth this week, and we're going to need some fat. So we're going to get some fat from that skin. And that's all I'm discarding. I've said it a million times, save your onion skins and things like that. Well, that's what you're using today. I only have a little bit left because I had already used it. I also have some celery, which I never have on hand because nobody likes it. So I'm going to throw it in a big piece so that we can pick it out. I'm going to add a spoonful of chicken bouillon to each pot, along with some onion and garlic powder. And some parsley. I'm just going to take a little bouillon out. I feel like it's too much. And now my scraps. I rinsed the onion skins under some water just to get all the freezer ick off. And I'm finding out I have some carrots in there too. Well, it's the carrot skins. I'm just going to divide up what I have here between the 2 pots. The skins give your broth a really good color. I'm also going to add what little bit of celery I have left. So we're just going to put that on the stove and let it cook. Meanwhile, we're going to start working on that chicken skin and a little bit of fat I saved. I cut the skin down into little pieces. I'm going to render the fat out of it. And the Yiddish terminology for that is schmolk. You could season it if you want to. I'm not, because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to use it for and where. So what you're going to do is you're going to pour enough water just to cover the chicken. You turn your flame to high, and once it starts to boil, you turn it all the way down to a low simmer. As the water cooks off, your chicken will crisp up, and you are left with just the fat in the bottom. You scoop that out, and you have schmaltz. Before I show you the schmaltz, my chicken was done. I took it out of the pot, and here's the broth. All I did was put a colander in a bowl and then pour it off the juice. Look at all the color in there with that broth. And there's bowl number 2. Now back to the chicken. I'm just going to take the chicken and just pull it off of the bone. I'm not going to shred it. However it comes off is how it's going to come off. And I got a giant bowl of meat. Back to the schmaltz. It only rendered about 4 ounces. But I'm telling you, there's a ton of flavor in that little bit of fat. Now I'm going to divide the chicken up into 6 equal parts. I probably won't use them equally, but at least I know how much I have per meal. And since I'm already prepping, I'm going to cut up about 3 days worth of onions. Don't forget to save the skins. And last but not least, I'm going to cook half of this bag of rice. And there's the rice. I'm just going to give it a big old fluffing. And we're moving on to meal number 1. All right, here's everything you're going to need for tonight's dinner. We're going to make a stir fry. I know I could use the rice. I don't want to. So I dumped out some carrots out of the bag. This is the wonkiest bag of carrots I've ever seen. None of them are the same size. Some are big, some are little. So initially I thought I was going to cut them up into matchstick size, but then that just started being not a good way to go. So I ended up just dicing them up. And I put the extra carrots back in the bag. So on to the cabbage. I decided to shred up half the head of cabbage. I wanted them long and skinny. Something I do when I'm dicing up cabbage or slicing or shredding, the real thick pieces in the center, except for the core, I just grab those pieces and I just start chopping them down small. They cook up like the carrots do, so I use them. This is a closer look at the cabbage. Once you start separating the layers, it looks like a lot, but it will cook down. Let's start cooking. Now my pot's not dirty. I boiled the pasta in that. We're going to use a little bit of the rendered fat or the schmaltz and a little bit of olive oil to stretch it. We are going to use some onion, but not yet. We're going to start with the carrots. I want to cook them because they'll take a little bit longer to start softening. Now that they're halfway cooked, some more than others, we're going to add the onions and start sauteing them. I'm going to sprinkle some seasoned salt on the carrots and the onions. I'm going to be adding the cabbage, and I do like that with cabbage, so it works here. Now that the carrots and onions have softened to my liking, I'm going to add my washed cabbage. Then we're going to give it a big old mix. We're just going to let that cook down a little bit and start to wilt before we start seasoning things. So I put a lid over the cabbage to help it speed up the cooking process. And of course that worked. So here we go with the seasonings. We're going to add some more seasoned salt. Cabbage, a lot like potatoes, can take a lot of salt. We're going to add some onion powder, some garlic powder, and some pepper. Then we're going to mix that all together. We're going to let that cook down just a little bit more, let the flavors come together, and then we're moving on. I didn't show when I made the pasta, but I always reserve some of the water. You never know. It helps with a lot of things. I'm going to add some of that starchy water here. I'm adding that because the pan was getting a little bit dry and I didn't want to add any more oil. Now that that's good and tender, I'm going to move the cabbage to the side of the pan and we're going to bloom the spices. A lot of the same ones we've been using. First, the garlic powder, onion powder, and again with the seasoned salt. I'm going to let it sit there till I smell it. And I do smell it. I smell it. I smell it. I smell it. Time to make the donuts. No, I'm just kidding. It's time to add the elbow pasta. It is al dente, so it has a little bit of a bite to it. So in she goes. And once we get everything in the pan, I'm going to give another old mix. A big old one. Mixy, 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 and there you go. Time to add the protein. Now, I had already taken some chicken out of this bowl because I felt like it was going to be too much for this meal. and I still think I have too much in that bowl. But regardless, we're going to continue on. After a really quick stir, I changed my mind again and went back and got the rest of that chicken. So mixy, mixy, mixy. We're going to finish this off big time. I'm going to add some low sodium soy because we have a lot of seasoned salt in there and I don't want to add any more. After I stirred that a little bit, I gave it a quick taste and it was absolutely delicious. It would have been fine to stop there, but I'm not going to. This is where I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of the hoisin. I did go back later and add another tablespoon, so I think it was about 3 to 4 total. Here goes the second time I added it in. We're going to mix it all together. Now that we have that all mixed together, we are done. I'm going to have the kids come down because of the heat and everybody trying to stay cool and not properly dressed. I don't think we'll be on camera for this one or any of them this week. The kids will give you their critique, though. I think I'm going to have them do it at the end of the week. All right, there's our 5 full plates. Let me call the kids down here or we're going to taste it. All right, all the boys are down here except for Trey. I put his plate to the side. We're just going to, everybody, Eric, Aiden, Tyler, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I'm going to get some of my pasta, a little bit of the meat, a little bit of the cabbage. Let me know when you guys are ready. They're behind me, so let me know when they're ready.
I'm ready.
Ready? Yeah. Ready? All right, everybody on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
Good, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, here's the next meal. We're going to use a bag of mixed vegetables. They're supposed to be thawed. They're almost there. I got some of the rice in the back. I got about a pound of potatoes. Not exactly, but as close as I can get to it. So it's an ish. I have 1 onion, and it's finely diced. Some of my portion of chicken, salt and pepper. I have smoked paprika. You can use regular paprika or nothing at all. Use whatever spices you like. Garlic powder, onion powder, and some mayonnaise. I do need, though, I just realized that, I do need some butter that's not out here, or oil, or some kind of a fat. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shred up the potatoes. I'm going to use my food processor, so I'm not going to show me doing that, but I am going to shred it. You could use a box grater, you could use a potato peeler, whatever you have, shred them up. So that's all shredded up. I have it sitting in some water with some ice. It helps get out some of the starchiness. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this bowl. It's not dirty. I measured my rice over top of it. To the side of the bowl, you'll see I chopped up a couple extra carrots. I just wanted to add just a little bit more vegetable to it. You don't have to do that. So in the bowl, we're going to add about 3/4 cup of mayonnaise. If you have cheese, you can add about a cup of it here. Then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of milk. Mine is not. Mine is plant-based, heavy whipping cream, and water because of Eric's allergies. You're going to need to add 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard, onion powder, garlic powder, and salt and pepper to taste. Once all that's done, we're going to whisk it all up. This definitely would be creamier if we had some cheese, but it wasn't in the budget for me. All right, then we're going to move it on over to those diced carrots I have over there. It's a little bit of the diced carrots and some of the fallout from the rice when I was measuring it. I'm going to add that to the bowl, along with our finely diced bowl of onions and 2 cups of rice. It was right about here where I was thinking, that's not enough seasoning in there, but I didn't add it just yet. So then I added the thawed mixed vegetables and gave that a big old mix. We're going to need to add the chicken. However, I didn't shred it when I took it off of the bones. I took it off in chunks, so I'm going to chop it up before I add it to the mixture. I didn't use all of the chicken that I had for this meal, so I put it back in the refrigerator. So mix that all together. And also, I forgot to mention, you need to grease your casserole dish, a 9x13. While I was mixing this, I stopped to taste it to see if it needed any seasoning, and it did. It needed more salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. Then we're just going to dump the entire concoction into our grease 9x13 and smooth it out. To our strained, shredded potatoes, I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of melted butter, or what we call butter. It helps with the browning. Now you can add whatever seasonings you like. I'm going to use about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of paprika, pepper, and salt. I'm going to add extra salt because we need it with all this rice and potatoes. And then some onion powder and garlic powder. And then back to the mixing. Now that we're done with the mixing, we're going to bring the casserole dish back over. And we're going to take those potatoes and spread them out as evenly as you can. If you wanted to add the cheese, this is the second spot where you would add it. You could either mix it in with the potatoes or sprinkle some on the top. You're going to tightly cover your casserole dish with some foil and then bake it for about 35 minutes. Remove the cover and let bake to brown the top. Oh my gosh, here it comes. Ooh, looky there. Whew. I'm going to let that sit for a minute or two, and then we're going to plate it up. And there's our plates. I'm going to have the kids come down here in just a minute, and there's still more left even after that. All right, Eric, Aiden, Tyler, you all got a bite?
Yep.
All right, let me get mine in here. Oh, that looks good. All right, on 3, everybody's going to take a bite. 1, 2, 3. That's good. I like it. Eric, what do you think about it?
I think it's really good. I think all the flavors blend together like well.
So we're going to make a stew. In the back in the bowl is some of the broth I made. I am going to pull out the other one as I need it. I got a handful of potatoes. We still got quite a bit left. I weighed that out. That's just a little bit over 1.25 pounds there. I'm not sure I'm going to use all of the potatoes because there's 1, 2, 3, there's 6 of them. I got a portion of some of the meat, half of one of the small heads of cabbage, an onion, some carrots. We're going to use half the can of the diced tomatoes, some what we call butter, and then we're going to need some basil, Italian seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder, parsley, and oregano. Alrighty, so I've already washed and peeled my potatoes. We're going to use those and probably a good handful of the carrots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the potatoes and I'm going to slice them into about 1/2 inch thick. And then I'm going to hit them in my chop box and blammo, we're going to have some cubes. So I didn't cube up all of the potatoes that I peeled. I feel like I have enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this potato, put it in some water, put it in the refrigerator, and use it either tomorrow or the next day for dinner. And here's a look at how many potatoes I have. Moving on to the carrots, I decided to take the thicker carrots and cut them into half-moon shapes. As always, I grabbed too many carrots, so I'm going to put these back in the bag. On to the cabbage. Initially, I thought I would use half of the head of cabbage, but I really feel like we only need 1/4. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and just put a bunch of slices in it and cut it into cubes, and that's what we're going to do. For size reference, you want to cut them in cubes big enough to fit on your spoon. As I'm chopping, again, I realize I have too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here. I'm going to take this other piece and put it back with the other 1/4 and save it for another dish. Let's move it on over to the frying pan, finally. But before we do that, I'm going to open up this can of diced tomatoes and I'm going to take half of it with the juices. I am very loosely following a recipe. I'm going to do things out of order. So if you look for the recipe in the description box below, it'll be different from what I did because I feel like it'd be better this way. So I'm going to put a big old plop of what we call butter in the pan, get that melting and smear it around the pan a little bit. So I'm just going to dump my potatoes in my screaming hot pan. I have my gas range at 8. I want to get a good sear. Don't want to cook them, just sear them. While they're trying to sear in the pan, I'm going to hit them with a little seasoned salt. You could use table salt, some pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. As the potatoes were browning, they started to stick, so I reached in the refrigerator and grabbed some of the smolch. We're going to put that in there. Hey, extra flavor, right? Then we're going to add the carrots to the pan. Just to brown them up, we don't want to cook them. I'm going to hit them with a little bit of the seasoned salt because that's what I have out, and I feel like it brightens up the flavor of the carrots a little bit. So I took the potatoes out because they were cooking a little bit too much. Here's what the carrots are going to look like. By no stretch of the imagination are they done. And now we're going to start at the beginning where I should have started. Well, I didn't have to start there. I wanted to start somewhere else. So we're going to add some more butter back to the pan. And we're going to add our previously chopped bag of onions. And we're just going to saute them until they get translucent and fragrant. So I'm going to add the cabbage to the pan and season it in here. You don't have to. You could just add it to the liquid when it gets there. But I like to, sear them, get a little bit of bite on it. And again with the onion and garlic powder. We're just going to let the cabbage wilt down like we always do. I'm going to take the onions out and set them to the side though. So now that the cabbage is wilted down to my liking, I'm going to set it to the side. And now we're back where the recipe started. So anal retentive Tina actually did weigh out the tomatoes so that it was even and the juice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip up the tomatoes to make it more like petite diced rather than just chopped tomatoes. Oh, and by the way, the juice is in another bowl. So I'm just going to dump those in the pan, and here's the juice. Going to add that too. And we're going to dump the onions back in. And we're going to start mixing that together. Ah, ding dang it, I forgot to bloom the spices. All right, I have some Italian seasoning. I think I'm going to add a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half. And we're just going to let it sit there until I can smell it. Hopefully it doesn't get wet. Woo, that worked out. Now we're going to mix that through. We're going to start adding the vegetables back. We're going to start with the potatoes and carrots. By the way, this recipe does call for ground turkey as well, maybe a half a pound. I felt like it would be too much meat for my family. We're going to add our wilted cabbage to the pot and give that a big old mix. I just want to mention how full this pot is, and I haven't even added the chicken yet. We're going to add some of the bone broth that we made. I probably should have warmed it before now, but it'll be all right. So here we go. We're going to let that come to temp. We're going to simmer it for about 15 minutes. I also added some parsley. I don't know what happened to that, but I did add it. I'm also going to add the rest of that broth to this pot. This stew has been simmering for a little bit. I just wanted to turn it down to show you how hearty this is before the protein. Just look at all of that. Well, I found the parsley. So after I let that simmer for a little bit more, I went to go get the chicken. And again, I don't think I need the full serving of the chicken. So I chopped up about a quarter of what I had in that bag and put it in. I feel like it's enough meat. I don't want to add things just to add it. We're just going to let the meat warm through a little bit in there. We're basically done. However, I'm going to take it one more step. You could be done here. We're going to make this creamy. I'm going to add a half cup of Eric's plant-based heavy whipping cream. You could use milk. I cannot for Eric. But you need to turn the stove off. And we're going to add it real slowly. Just a little bit at a time because you don't want it to curdle, nor do you want it to separate. Just keep going. Slow, slow, slow. And there you go. Look how creamy that looks. I nearly forgot. What I did was I took my spatula and I pressed down in the pan and I squashed up some of the potatoes. That also helps to thicken your stew. I just let it sit for a little while and let it thicken in its own juices.
All right, I put half of the bowl is full of meat, potatoes, carrots, all of that. There's still a ton left in there, and now I'm going to add the broth. I just wanted you to see, like, how much was in there, but there's a lot left.
And there's our stew. Let me get the kids down here and let's get to tasting.
All right, so I took some out of my bowl because I can't eat that much, but I wanted to show you what a serving size would look like. I have Eric, Aiden, and Tyler here. Can everybody get like a little bit of all of the things in your bowl? There's cabbage, carrots, potatoes, chicken, and some tomato. Just get a nice big old, I got the tiniest spoon possible. All right, are we ready on 3? Everybody, let's go. Oh wait, something in my hand. 1, 2, 3, let's go. That's good.
Really good.
That's really good. All right, here's what you're gonna need for tonight. This is some of the chicken that we haven't even used yet. I still have 3 big bags left of chicken. We're gonna have leftovers. I can already tell. But we're gonna need some garlic, some elbow pasta. This is what's left of the first one that I had. That's a full box. Some olive oil, an onion, tomato paste. That's the one I had to throw up at the screen at the beginning because I forgot to set it out because I already had it. And then a handful of seasonings and that little bit of chicken. I got some water boiling for the pasta, so we're gonna get that going. And we're moving right over to the frying pan. So my water's ready. Let's get the pasta in there. And we're gonna cook them almost all of the way. We're also going to need some of the bone broth. It's looking a little gelatinous, but it'll be fine once we heat it up. I'm going to add some of the schmaltz to the pan. I did the work to get it, so I'm going to use it. Once that's all melted down, we're going to add the onions, and we're just going to saute them. Now that they're fragrant and translucent, we're going to add some of the garlic. I don't know, 2 big old plops. And we'll just wait for that to get fragrant. And we're going to bloom some more spices. We're going to add a palmful of Italian seasoning, basil, oregano, garlic powder, onion powder, and then we're going to finish with some pepper. Okay, now that I can smell it, we're going to mix it through. We're going to add some tomato paste in here. But before you do that, take out about a tablespoon or so you can use it for tomorrow's dish. All right, now that I got most of it in the pan, we're going to let it warm. I'm going to smear it around a little bit so it gets heated all the way through, and I'm going to rinse out my can. And then I'm going to add some finely diced chicken, almost like ground beef. Once that's done, I'm going to mix everything together. Going to add the 2 cups of the bone broth to the mixture and then give that a big old stir. Going to make sure I get every drop out of that tomato paste can. Once everything was all combined together, I took a taste and it needed everything. More of all of the seasonings. So just add some more. And let's give that some time to get the flavors released. So now I'm going to come in with about 2 cups of the starchy water. Always, always, always reserve your starchy water. Going to mix that in, and we're just going to let it reduce a little bit. Then we're going to come in with a palm full of salt. Make it a good amount because it has to cover the sauce and the pasta. All right, so that's reduced quite a bit. I'm going to add the sauce to the pasta because I might keep some out for tomorrow or the next day's dish. Once I gave it a mix, that definitely was not enough sauce, so I added some more. This is done. I let it reduce quite a bit. Look at that, it even looks saucy. Right here, you could add Parmesan cheese. I cannot because of Eric, but I'm going to on the plates. And there's our plates. And here's the extra sauce that I have, and there's still some more in the pot that we haven't eaten yet. Not a lot, at least 1 more serving. But let me get the kids down here, and we're gonna get to tasting. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of the Parmesan cheese up here so I can get a second taste. Gonna wanna come out. I got all the boys down here. Is everybody ready? Get a spoonful. Oops. You ready? Set. Go. Pretty tasty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. All right, here's my big old mess. I'm going to use this cabbage. These are the pieces I had left over. I'm going to use a good portion of this also. I'm going to use the rice. This is a full container. That's a little bit from what we used earlier this week. So there's only a little bit in that bottom one. So I still have half a bag of uncooked rice. I'm going to use up a good portion of my carrots. Going to use up all that chicken, I think. I have some of the tomato paste from the meal I made with the spaghetti, an onion, and like I may or may not use this sauce from that. I took this out in my head. I didn't have any tomato paste put to the side, but I still may use it. I don't know. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start shredding up the cabbage and some carrots. I'm going to real quick use my food processor to shred up the majority of these carrots. I have a really good amount in there, so hopefully it's enough. I think that should be good. It's not full, it just looks full. But I want to save some for my last dish, so I have a little bit of carrots left over, so I'm going to put that away. I chopped up another onion because I'm out of the other onions that I previously chopped up. But I didn't chop all of it up because I felt like it was too much onion for this dish. All right, so we're going to shred up a half a head of cabbage. I started to slice it, and then I remembered, uh-oh, I have the other cabbage, so I'm going to take that out and use that. I ended up shredding the 2 pieces and then half of a cabbage. And don't worry about the volume. It looks like so much because if we learn nothing this week, cabbage cooks way down. Just make sure you wash it. I don't show it, but I do it. Before we go over to the frying pan, I'm going to chop up some meat. And again, I'm not using it all, and I'll put it in the refrigerator for another recipe. I'm also going to warm some of the bone broth. We're going to use a little more of that rendered fat. Once that melts down, I'm going to add some olive oil. Now that that's good and hot, I'm going to add the chopped chicken. Okay, while that's soaking up the oil and browning, we're going to add some flavor. I'm going to add some paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, pepper, and yes, seasoned salt. You know I love that stuff. Now that the meat has browned up, I'm going to add my onions. We're going to saute those down. We're going to mix everything together and let all the flavors marry. Then we're going to get out that tomato paste from yesterday. I don't know what possessed me to put it in a Ziploc baggie because this is a bear to get out. But get it out and get it in there. I'm going to add a little bit of the bone broth. This way it loosens up and it makes it easier to mix. I was feeling like this dish was lacking a little bit in the tomato department, so I added a little bit of the sauce. Here's the thing, guys. I was supposed to add my petite diced tomatoes to this recipe, but no worries, I added to another one. If I had a bigger pan, which I do not, it's big, or a pot, I wouldn't have to do this step, but I'm going to set my meat to the side so we can start working on the cabbage. I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil down in the pan, and then we're going to put in all of the cabbage that I have shredded up. Now that we have the cabbage in the pan, we're going to go back in with our same old seasonings. We're going to start with, the seasoned salt, some pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. Going to give it a mix, and then we're going to put a lid on it to let it wilt down. Well, that's wilted enough that I can put the meat back in the pot. And we're going to mix that around, and we're going to let it continue to cook. Now that that's all combined, we're going to add the broth. We're going to cook it uncovered. We want the broth to cook off. I still think there's not enough tomato in this, and I still don't realize that I was supposed to use those petite diced tomatoes until tomorrow. So what I did was I went in with some tomato bouillon and a little bit of water because the broth would be too strong a flavor. I've made this dish before, not like this, but with the chunks and everything, and I'll attach that video if I remember. But the chicken actually ended up shredding in the cabbage rather than staying in chunks because I had previously cooked it. I was trying to decide if I wanted to put the rice in
the dish or put the dish on the rice. So I have 2 cups of rice and I have some more in this here bowl. What I think I'm going to do is just add a little bit to the pan and then some on the side. But first, let's do the carrots. This may not look like a lot of food on camera, but this is a huge, huge frying pan or pot, whatever it is. It's at least 14 inches. So now we're going to work on the carrots. I have a lot more carrot in there than I think I need. I'm just going to start throwing it in there until I feel like it's enough. Somewhere about right there. And we're just going to mix that carrot through. You do not need to cook it because it's very finely shredded. Once we're done mixing the carrots in, I'm going to add some rice. I'm going to start with half a cup. I'm going to mix it through and let's just see if we need any more. I'm going to add another half a cup of rice. It's not a full cup because the other one was a heavy cup. And we're just going to mix that in. And guess what?
That's done. I'm going to meet you at the plates. And there's all 5 of our plates, and I still have some in the pot. I just put the carrot on top for the pretty. Everybody get a little bit of everything on your plate.
All right.
Are you ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3, go. That's good.
Yeah.
You like that, Eric?
Yeah, good.
Aiden?
It was really good.
What about you back there, Tyler?
It was good.
Really good? All right. I'll see you in the next one. All right, that's what's left over. Nobody wanted extra rice, so gotta pack it up. All right, here we go. This is everything I have left. I can get a 7th day out of this. I'm not going to because I want a day to eat some leftovers and edit and whatnot. So in the back, I have what was left of the elbow pasta. I have some carrots. And in here, there's some of the shredded that was left over. I had more chicken than this, but my daughter made chicken salad sandwiches while I was out today. She didn't realize, but that's okay. In here, I have the petite diced tomatoes. That was supposed to go in last night's dish. I kept saying there's something missing, and that's what it was. Got some the broth left, a portion and a half of cabbage, some of the schmaltz, a few potatoes, the rice that nobody wanted when I was doing the taste test. Afterwards, everybody wanted rice. I still have half a bag of the dry. With the red in the top right there, that is the potato that I put away that I peeled and didn't use. Some of the stew, and then some of the sauce from when I made the macaroni kind of spaghetti kind of thing. All right, so let me put, I can get a 7th day for sure. I'm not going to. Let me show you what we're going to use tonight. All right, this is what I'm going to use. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe all of it, maybe not. Depends on what it looks like. The rice is out there only if I have to bulk something up. And again, this is not a full box. This is a portion of a box. So that's what we're going to use. I'll show you what my staples are that I'm going to use. That's what I'm going to use for now. This is a recipe that I'm making up. You're not going to find this anywhere. So I hope beyond hope that this works out. I have some barbecue sauce back there. I'm trying to make like a different flavor profile. Some olive oil, onion and garlic powder, some pepper, and in here I have a teaspoon each of tomato bouillon, beef bouillon, and chicken bouillon.
To make this go faster, I'm just going to chop everything up. I'm not going to use all of the cabbage or the potatoes. The potatoes are done. I'm not going to use these 2. That's all the carrots I have left besides the couple of shreds. I'm going to chop those up. All chopped up. The onions are all chopped up. And so is the cabbage. What we're going to do is called a double boil. I'm going to put the potatoes in the pot, bring them to a boil, let them cook for about 3 minutes. Then I'm going to add the pasta. It helps with the combination of the starches together. We'll come back to that later. Right, I got some butter and olive oil in the pan, and I'm going to add the cabbage. I bet you thought I was going to say add some seasoned salt. No, I'm not. We have those 3 things of bouillon going in later, and that'll be salty enough. So for now, I'm just going to saute it. I'm going to put a lid on it to help it along. Okay, it's time to add the pasta to the potatoes in the back. All right, so that wilted down just a little bit. I'm going to add some onions and let that cook together. So it's time to add the carrots. I put them in the microwave with just a tiny bit of water in it, just enough to cover it to soften them halfway. Just going to mix that around and wait for them to soften. Ooh, that's good right there. I'm going to add the tomatoes from yesterday's dinner to tonight's dinner, but I'm going to add it without the juice. Also, like yesterday, I snipped them up to make it more like petite diced tomatoes. It was at this point I was trying to decide if I wanted to use the chicken or not, and I figured, what the heck, let's go for it. My pasta and potatoes are done. They're in the pot in the back. In my little bowl here, I have those 3 things of the bouillon: tomato, beef, and chicken. I have a teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder and half a teaspoon of pepper. I also have half a cup of hot water. I'm going to mix up my little seasoning concoction and add it to the hot water and stir. While that's brewing, I threw in the few little extra carrot shavings I had left from last night. So we're going to take our little mixture and pour it all over the food in the pan.
Taste for seasoning, but I am going to add the barbecue sauce. So, all right, let's try that real quick. It's a little bit of it. Oh, it's a little bit of everything there. It's actually quite good. Holy moly, that tastes great.
I'm going to add the chicken to the pan now. I didn't put a lot of chicken in because the last dish, because I pre-cooked it, it shredded up. I expect it to do the same in this one. To our vegetables, I'm going to add the potatoes and the pasta. I actually made too much, so I didn't add it all. I'm just going to mix all of that together. Time to add the barbecue sauce. Initially, I started going in nice and slow, as you'll see here. I added half of a cup, and then I mixed it through. Then I added the rest, and then mixy, mixy, mixy. We're going to let these flavors come together, and the final dish of the week is done.
And there's our plates. Let me show you what else is there, and then we're going to get right to the taste test. This is what we have left in the pot.
If you get any benefit at all from my content, you can help me out by clicking like, share, commenting, and definitely hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video.
All right, I got a little bit of everything on my fork here. You guys got stuff? Mm-hmm. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Everybody go. That's really good.
Yeah.
Shockingly. And it's seasoned well. You would be surprised because there's not very much in there.
It's good.
This is a 2 o'clock in the morning idea. It's not a recipe anywhere that I know of. All right, guys. I've eaten a bit. The kids have eaten a bit. I'm going to ask them what their favorite was for the week. Who wants to go first? Eric. He's always got his hand up. What was your favorite one of the week?
I like the soup a lot. It was good.
The soup, the stew? All right. Aiden, what was your favorite for the week?
I really like this one.
The made-up one?
Yeah.
All right. Tyler?
The stir fry?
The stir fry? I like the stir fry, and I like this. It's surprisingly good. It maybe could use a pinch more barbecue sauce. Maybe. I'm not sure. I think if you just add it, it might just be more. But that is absolutely delicious, and I'm glad I wrote it down. So there you have it. I hope you try it. I hope you like it. Leave me a comment. Either way. See you later. Bye.